So today is August 31st, 2024. And first of all, to hang on for a second, come here for a minute. If you hear a weird noise, this is the one that's making a fuss today. He's not feeling well, so just ignore that. Okay, so anyhow, for all the new people, here's the problem. First of all, it all goes back to hiring. Um, if you look at your seniority list, there's little blocks of people like 91 or 83, 81. They'll all be around the same time. It's because something we bargained for created a hiring surge, not just the gradual one, but a big hiring surge. So the people that get hired at the same time are going to leave at the same time. So the problem is, what you have is a workforce that's not familiar with the collective agreement because they all come in as new and they're working around new people. So I already told you what the solution is. Start taking the collective agreement and the Constitution and reading it a little bit at a time. And you can start with things that matter to you. You don't have to know the grievance procedure. All you know is, I've been grieved, talk to my shop steward. Everything else that goes on in the background is that whole big giant pile of stuff that's in Article 9. So anyhow, what's going on right now is there's a merge like this of the collective agreement, the strike, and the labor board. So it's all like this. And the people that untangle that aren't the guy that want you to sit with in the coffee shop with his ideas, because those ideas are gone. They're gone. You had a chance way back when. So what you have now is the direction that you gave your national officers and what they're going to do about it. So you can't go back and say, I know, let's do this, let's do this. No, you can't. You already asked what you wanted. They cannot go outside of the frame of what you're asking for or the intent of what you're asking for. They can say, okay, you're asking for a 5% raise, and they ask for 6. Well, they don't have to go back to you and ask if you want 6. That would be a pretty dumb question, wouldn't it? So what they do is if the Canada Post offers, lower, they just ignore it because you don't want that. You told them what you wanted. So unless you're not willing to learn the collective agreement or attend meetings, I know it's one day out of your month that you have other things to do. But if you don't, you're always going to be left out and thinking, what the hell do I do now? I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what the process is. You can learn that. It's not that hard to learn. It's very hard to be an expert at it, like our national officers. That's why they're in there. They're not in there because they're good looking. They're in there because they know the collective agreement, they know the Constitution, they know the bargaining rights, and they know the labor board. So these folks that are in there, we're not talking lawyers. Big unions get lawyers. We don't get lawyers. We get lawyers when there's a major struggle and looking for advice and that sort of thing. But until then, it's just a regular member at large that represents people at arbitration. So this may require a lawyer. I don't know how serious it's getting. But if the language is beyond what we do, we do consult with lawyers. So it's not a big union that has an army of lawyers to fight Canada Post. So, and you don't want it because then your dues would be like $300 a month because we are a sole Canadian union. And the other thing is, why is the union going to drum up people in the middle of a strike from another company and blah, 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 and all this nonsense that Canada Post spreads around? It's because you asked for it. You want them to sign up other people that are less fortunate as we are. So this is where the whole problem comes in, is in the understanding. So you have to sit back and relax. You are in good hands. Maybe you're struggling with the shop steward you have. Well, then maybe you can become the leader that you want, because that's how it works. If someone's just being a steward because no one else wants to be, then I don't know, their heart's there, but they're not, the drive isn't there to actually help people. And that's what they do. They want to help people. It's almost like a calling, it has similar to a religious calling. You like helping people. You like looking after them in their bad times. It's all the same thing. You volunteer as a shop steward. You go to committee. You go to seminars. You'll learn more, and you'll learn more, and the more you learn, and the more you attend, the more people you meet, and it creates a network, a big network. So anytime you want to throw something off of, let's say you want to know something about this or that, without constantly going back to the local union reps and regional office, you can go to a member that attended a seminar that's been around 20 years as a union rep. There's all kinds of mentors out there. So you're not stuck. But don't dump on the national officers because you don't know the process. I know the process. I sat back, I did my strike. And the other thing about strikes is you've got to attend and you got to stay there. I think there's a minimum the local set. I think it's 4 hours or something. Not one of these guys. I've seen them. They come and they pretend they're picketing, drop their picket sign, head in, open the trunk to make sure they still got their golf bags, and off they go. That's not what it's about. The management knows who's on the picket line. They know who is not on the picket line. And they go from there. You have to have a solidarity. That's why do all these people win? But I'm going to tell you something else. I've been around when Chrysler kept promising people, oh, take a cut, take a cut, take a cut. And then when times are good, we can all share it. Yeah, bullshit. That was Donald Landers, who eventually Canada Post took him as the CEO. So don't be fooled by these people. What was it? Canadian Airlines, Ward Air, even Air Canada. They get into this thing into people's heads and say, you know what? You just take this little cut, or just take a minimum, cost of living raise in your pay, and then what we'll do is when times are good, we'll fix you up. Well, they didn't. They're not all doing it, and that's what Canada Post is trying with you. Oh, don't worry. You can deal with it down the road. No, you can't. Any issue you have now, what is your point of being at work? Right now, if you hate your job, you hate your pay, and you hate your employer because they don't give a damn about you. So at some point, you're going to say, I'm not going to work here anymore. So you've got to try and improve your job, and if it causes you to eventually say, goodbye, I'm leaving, then so be it, because it's all about you. You work at Canada Post not because you love the smell of mail, not because you want to deliver mail. It's because you want money and benefits. So you're dedicated to your job, not to the employer. The employer couldn't give a damn about you. You're dedicated. I was dedicated 100% to my paycheck. And my paycheck was out of the collective agreement. So when I said, the boss says, we'll do this, and I say, are you sure you want me to do that? Oh, yeah. Then I file a grievance and I move on. It's all a fact of life. And this whole thing about grievances, don't be afraid. Once they've done something to you, whether it's a suspension or whatever else, the worst has already happened. Right? The worst has already happened. What else is going to happen? So don't fret over this stuff. They love to see you all stressed out, and then you snap to attention and bring in a Starbucks in the morning for the boss, and oh, look at him sucking up. The guy doesn't even know that he can win this one. And what they do is you grieve, and they tell you that's what your employer, your union did. Well, how is that my union? You're the one that denied my pay. Oh, it's the union. So everybody goes, yeah, you know what the union did to me? They screwed around my pay. Stop it with that stuff. You just got to educate yourself a little bit. And I keep saying it, but 20 minutes a day. Flip it out. Maybe in a bathroom break, just flip it open and say, okay, I want to read about my rights on transferring, my rights on bidding, my rights on uniform, everything. It's all in there. I want to know how much my national officer makes. Well, then go into your Constitution. It's written right in there. You want to know why they're drumming up bicycle couriers and everybody else? It's in the Constitution. The members asked for it because we're not a small union, but we're Canadian only. So anytime we're on strike, we may get some help from other unions, but it's not mandatory. With the bigger American unions, they have different groups with them. But we're not the big American union, and I never got strike pay. I got it the last time, I think it was 2011, was the first time I got strike pay. So I didn't go out because, oh, how much are you going to give me? Or are you going to give me the same the boss is going to give me? No, it's not what it's all about. It's you're willing to take a hit. And when the union tells you, get prepared for a strike, it doesn't mean psych yourself out or anything else. It means watch your spending, maybe change your eating habits at home, going from great meals to all that. Because right now you're all panicking. You didn't put money aside. You're like the little ant that didn't put away food for the winter. He died. The rest of the ants were doing okay because they had a big storeroom full. So anyhow, that's what you got to watch out for. When in the future, when the union says get prepared, that's exactly what it means. Whether it means to go out and grab yourself a second job to build up your bank account or everything. It doesn't mean be prepared to, like, go, oh, I guess I'm all ready to strike now. That's not what it's about. So I've always supported a wife and 2 kids while I was in the union. I always had small mortgage, but I still had a mortgage. I had a car that was paid for. But all this stuff, I had the same problems you have, right? Except I had one income, you had 2. So I watched my spending. I never drank coffee at Starbucks, and I never rarely went out for dinner with the family unless it was like once a month, maybe once every 2 months. That's it. I'm not a high roller. I watch my money. So next time you hear that, you know what they want you to do. So anyhow, it's not the end of the road here. And the union can't just change the position and say, oh, now what we want is snowshoes. Let's bargain for no, that's not the way it works. You've done it already. It's all set, it's all framed, and the union only has to come back to you if the offer meets your requirement or better. So when they're offering crap, you're saying, why didn't they bring it back to me? Well, why would you? You didn't want it. That's not what you wanted. You want a whack in your pay? I mean, there was one time when now that was in the 80s. I guess, I don't know who was in the government at the time. Maybe it was even Trudeau or somebody. But they forced a 6 and 5 increase on us by the government. It was forced on us. We couldn't negotiate. They forced 6 and 5. It was the best raise I've ever had at the post office. So, I mean, after that, it was 0.5, 0.1. But what we did is when you're in there looking for money and they're not going to give you money, well, then you get better working conditions or better benefits. And that's where the holidays came from, or you get so many holidays every 7 years. It used to be like your first year you got on the job was 3 years. Next one was like about 15 years. And then if you went up to 4 weeks, it was like 20 years. And then when you got up to 35 years of service, you got, I think it was 6 or 7 years. I don't know. It was terrible. But they bargained and said, okay, you can't do this, but let's go every 7 years on the holidays, or let's improve a benefit, because you can still fold it and put it in your pocket, right? Benefits don't go away. They're harder for the corporation to take them away. If you wanted them and you get them, it's like when you're bargaining for something, like you'll say, oh, I don't understand this. Yeah, right. So when I was bargaining, or involved in the whole strike thing, when we struck for things like the holidays or there was a whole bunch of benefits. I can't even remember them all. That comes with old age. But all the things, the wonderful things that made my life better and made my retirement better were because of Canada Post was cheap on their offer of money. So don't say, well, it's only 0.5 or it's only 6%. See how you can balance that out with a benefit, because all the benefits we got involve more time, more maternity leave, more this, more that. And with all that leave came another relief, another employee, and that's where you got your job. So it just goes on and on. And you have to relax on this whole thing. Go have a coffee. Better not, you got to save some money. But go home for a coffee. But relax. Like now I hear, Canada Post wants to get a crew of people to, in case instead of working overtime, they'll go out and do it for you. That's not the way it works either. So you ask for that. The people that go in the office and sit there and talk to the boss, I hate overtime. Why do you dump me with this stuff? So they take that as an offer. Oh, everybody wants relief that's going to do their overtime for them on call. So you'll have on call at straight time instead of paying you time and a half. You're asking for it. That's what you get their ideas from the boss who says he's your friend in the office. And my rule always, as a union rep for a long time, 35, 34 years, my position always been to be sociable to the boss, but I do not socialize. So in other words, good morning, how's the family? Yeah, fine, bye, see ya. I don't go in the office, never went in the office by myself. You can ask anyone that knows me. Never went in the office by myself, and especially if you said, come here, I have a little private fireside chat with you. And I'd go, not going to happen. And I'd bring people in, and he had nothing to say. So that's the way it's got to be. You're in a union, and maybe you don't understand it because you've never been in a union, or you're in a different kind of union. But it all starts with the education part of it. Don't get mad at your reps because it wasn't what you wanted. You didn't show up at some of the meetings to put in negotiation items. So you can't sit back and bushwhack people. So anyhow, you got the tools now, I've told you. So just relax and have a nice day.